All right. So we're going to talk about more recalls, huh?
Yeah, apparently the.
Yay!
Go ahead.
Oh, well. Yay, we're going to talk about more recalls. Today we're going to focus mainly on the CP4 recall, which apparently is affecting Ford and Chevy. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say it covers a massive amount of Ford and Chevys.
Well, this says 295,449.
Yeah, yeah. This is 2020 to 2022, built between 2019 and 2021. All of the models of diesels with the CP4.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
it says,
well, we kind of gathered that.
said GM agreed to pay owners, and Ram replaced the CP4 with an older version of the CP 3.3 design.
Well, yeah, that's probably the smartest thing they did in 2020. Referring to Ram, by the way. Anyways, guys, welcome to the Liquid Dinosaur Show. And of course, today you're just going to be accompanied by, of course, the Core 2, Doc and the Automotive Ewok.
Yeah, hi ho, neighbors.
So, if you like this style of content, if you don't like this style of content, let us know in the comments. Get involved in the comments. We do like to respond to them. Anything we can do to make this better, you let us know. If you like us going through current events and everything that's kind of going on recall wise, now, for those who don't know what a recall is when a manufacturer has enough complaints to where they're finally make a bulletin saying, "Hey, we have a problem, and we're gonna use B to fix it." Take it into the dealership. They should send you out a letter say, "Hey, if you have this vehicle, your vehicle could be affected. Get it into your local dealership." You want anything?
Sorry,
You want to?
I think we're going to have to just kind of basically read this and talk about it because some of this stuff is like, you're kidding me. This is on.
No,
This is on. What side am I on?
I don't know.
Just a minute. I will let
Well,
you
you want to
know.
pump the brakes for a second and kind of get into what a recall is a little bit more than what I just did?
Yeah, recalls when they've had X amount of failures in a given time period, and it creates an issue for the owners and people buying this stuff, and then they have to institute the lemonade law.
Oh, Nate. You mean lemon law?
Oh yeah, lemon law. This
Well, it'd
is
be
from
lemonade if you get something good out of it. Usually you lose your vehicle and you have to find another one.
this is from Fast Lane Truck. This site
Okay.
says for the past 3 years, Ford's engineers team have been investigating the fuel pump failures on the 6.7 power choke. The part in question is Bosch's CP4 RP7 pump, which Ford introduced during the 2020 model year of their F Series Super Duties and ran through 2021. Then Ford replaced it with a new production RP8 unit. The new recall campaign covers, as you said, 295,449 trucks. In its chronology report submitted to the National Highway, blah, 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 Ford says its initial investigation attributed the high pressure pump failures to, and this is where we got to discuss, aged, got this? Aged as in it's well aged like whiskey or something, aged biodiesel resulting from the COVID pandemic shutdowns. Over the pumps got COVID. Over the following months, as CP4 pump issues came to light in Ram's heavy duty trucks, Ford maintained the problem boiled down to fuel setting for extended periods of time during the COVID-19 pandemic, and concluded that condition led to a no start faults with customers' truck rather than a trend of stalls. As a result, it did not issue a large scale recall. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that's just pointing fingers. Anybody in the diesel world. So for those who don't know, CP4, when you hear anything CP, that is your common rail high pressure pump. for years, for decades, Dodge, Dodge or Ram has been using what they call a CP3. Duramax has used a CP3. Even your Mercedes diesels, your BMW diesels, they use a version of the CP3. Now, those are either R91 or I can't remember the other one for the Beamers. I know the R91 is your higher, your better one,
Yeah.
which is just a different version of a CP3. But Duramax is even early generation 6.7 Power Strokes had the CP3. But everybody went to the CP4 because you could get higher fuel pressure out of them and a little bit more performance. But the problem is, once they grenade, they grenade.
God, there ain't no coming back from it.
Yeah.
But then it goes down on to say, in addition to no start faults through teardown of failed pumps, the company said there was a positive correlation between biomass diesel specifications and average temperatures within the state and the incidence of failures.
Okay. Well, you want to turn this to a roast session?
Well, we can do whatever we got to do. This is a podcast. We're just talking about this stuff. We can roast. We can lie about it. We can, you know.
Okay, Doc. You know damn well that is just a bunch of baloney. You know that. Che-
Yep.
Chevy had issues with the CP4 for the longest time. Ram had issues with the CP4. Ford kept doubling down and kept using it when everybody got rid of it. They all had the same freaking issue. The CP4 is not a good pump. What's the fix? What is the fix for the CP4?
Well, Ford says that if you get the PCM update, it will increase the cooling in the tappet area and prevent formation of the biodiesel deposits.
No, what's going to happen is they're going to start offering a CP3 conversion because that's what the other two did.
I know, but I had to throw that other comment in here.
And then on top of that, we already know the fuel is not that good here in the US. We know this.
Yeah.
We covered this already.
And the biodiesel, it's like, come on.
And
Since
on top of that,
go ahead.
and on top of all of that, what is the number one killer for a high pressure pump?
Lack of.
Lack of lubrication and high heat because it uses the fuel to cool it and
Just
lubricate it.
so it said Ford says that they changed to the RP8 unit, right? And the design, it was a design robustness action that increased the pump's roller shoe area and tappet body clearances for improved fuel flow to increase cooling in the tappet area. But it says it sounds like the PCM update will make the RP7 units behave similarly to the RP8 variant, but without the actual mechanical changes. Where I ain't got my Band-Aid here. I need to get a Band-Aid, right?
Yeah, no crap.
The PCM update will actually solve the deposit issues, they say. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Just let's just do things. I don't even want to get into that one. What'd you say the new pump was called?
RP8.
RP8?
RP8. Romeo Papa 8.
Yeah, that's where I went wrong. Let's see. Hey, does it show you a picture of this RP8 pump?
No, they don't.
Of course they don't. What is an RP8 pump?
Well, let's make a look up.
Well, let me see if I can look it up through Bosch. Nope, it's a CP4 pump still. It's just a different style. So you this hurts. This freaking hurts. What is this? Like tripling down at this point?
Evidently so.
Why? Okay, now let's really have some fun with this.
Okay, let's start with okay. Now, you've reflashed PCMs before, haven't you?
All the time.
Did you ever cure your fuel pump problem by reflashing your PCM?
On a stock application, no.
So this is a stock application.
So no, no. Now, why I say that is because I had to do a calibration, an ECM calibration, due to the fact that I went from a stock CP3 to a 10 mil built CP3 on a Buddy 6.7. That's it. And that really, I don't even know if you can consider that as a reflash. Well, it is because you're telling the ECM to pump more pressure, but that's beside the point. But
Yeah.
now I'm gonna trigger Doc because this is gonna be fun. In your opinion, what is more dumb? The CP4 problem or Cummins lifter problem?
Wow. Well, they're both bad.
Right?
But if I had to say which one,
Hey,
you know, go ahead.
I got T-Bone calling me, so we're gonna have to take a quick
Take a
pause. So
okay. Take a pause.
you keep doing you, and I'll just exit out my screen real quick.
Okay. I think that you want me to keep the
You keep
recording.
talking to the people. Yeah, you
Okay.
keep talking to the people.
I think the biggest problem is when you look at the difference between a CP4 failure and the rollers on a 6.7 Cummins failure. They're both very deadly to the engine. I mean, the rollers, you're going to send garbage throughout the system, but then on the same token, if you take the CP4 and it starts sending steel throughout your fuel injection system, you're in the same boat. It's both of these failures are going to cost you a large amount of money when you start looking at them. But to reflash the CP4 and then to blame it on COVID and to say the biodiesel that sat around, uh, caused the problems on the fuel. I don't know about the biodiesel sitting around. I know for sure that I kept working and kept driving, my diesels, and I don't think there's many pumps you can buy that don't have that 5% biodiesel in them. But to blame it on the PCM, excuse me, the PCM, on your update and whatnot, uh, they're once again, as we said, I don't have my band aid. They're putting the band aid on it to make it look good. The thing about it is that this is a Bosch problem. This is their pump problem. What did they do to create this issue inside of it? Uh, it's there. You're looking at, okay, do we um, need a lift pump on these things that increase the fuel flow to the pump? Is the pump running out of fuel? Is there an issue where the pump is more or less cavitated at any given time? Cavitation is when it's a lack of fuel or a lack of lubrication or a lack of the liquid in there. There's an air bubble. There's a lack of pressure. Um, it is amazing that they take this one look at this and then blame or throw something else in it. Uh,
What'd you expect them to do?
yeah,
Sorry about that, guys. That was a work call I had to take.
they're saying that RP8 version is holding steady so far. I don't know how
Yeah,
steady they're
yeah, and
saying.
the hydraulic roller lifters are working so well for the 6.7
Yeah,
Cummins.
yeah. But as I was saying while you was gone, there's looking at maybe, they might be looking at putting a lift pump, you know, and I don't know about Fords or Chevys if they have them, but if they're
They
lack of
do.
fuel, do they?
Yeah.
There's, the one thing I know
Sorry,
that
guys.
was a hard on them was lack of fuel on startup.
Right.
Remember the VP44, right? What killed those pumps? Lack of fuel and
Lack of fuel and heat.
dang, what happened here? Are we replaying this record?
Apparently. Evidently. I mean, are you
I don't.
surprised though? Like, in all reality, are you like? I think we've
And
hit. I think we've hit a point to where you got the EPA that's on everybody's butts, and now there's a possibility of regulations laying up. We might
yeah,
start seeing like really high horsepower, like Cummins and Power Strokes.
yeah.
But at the same time, if we have a fuel issue, maybe we should fix the fuel issue first.
Well, when you took that call, I said the same thing. To blame COVID was I don't know what the heck these people were doing because I was still driving my diesels. You know, no, I didn't have a CP3. I got a VP44. You know, I but I don't see where the fuel setting around was a problem because you still had trucks going up and down the road, and you know what I mean.
Did you
I
not
think
have
they,
red in 2020?
huh?
Did you not have red in 2020?
Yeah, I had red.
Well, then you had a CP3.
Oh yeah, I guess I do. Well, anyway, sorry about that. I was thinking of gray. I I don't understand. The problem.
Let's play devil's advocate here. I had a my 6.7 blow up in 21. Was that a fuel
Yeah,
related issue? It started off with the fuel related issue because the fuel pump just so with the third gen Rams, especially the '08s when they changed to tip them,
yeah,
the problem is it would lose connection for the fuel pump and then dry out your system. So what's the fix? You put a
reflash.
brand new you put a new CP3 in there
Well,
and a new
yeah.
injectors and all this other stuff, and then it grenaded, but it grenaded because of a camshaft failure because of stupidity. Yep. That is a very expensive mistake. And the truck is still sitting and the engine block is still in my garage.
Yeah,
It still would have been so much I could have had it running if I wouldn't have just tore it down and just did a cam.
yeah,
But, it had 255,000 miles on it, had a lot of other issues. It is what it is at this point.
yeah. True.
But so, what you thinking here?
Well, I was reading a little bit on Bosch's view of the CP4, and they kind of don't say much.
Yeah, well, apparently that's not the only recall Ford has.
No,
They
it
have
isn't.
uh they have a faulty rear view camera and display recall just like Stellantis does.
Huh.
I
Well,
think that's a Continental electric problem.
yeah.
Then we already talked about the you want to give any updates on the GM recall?
Let me see what I got.
Well, the whole
Oh
that
wow.
last recall, the
Oh
6.2
wow.
recall that we just did.
Yeah, they are showing that the snap rings are coming out on the pistons. they're showing that they showed that one failure where it just completely broke that rod plumb in half.
Mm-hmm.
And they're showing that some of the issues appear to be, and I until we see one, and we had talked about this, a block issue where there's a problem with a block that appears to have a twist in it.
So, for those who don't know, GM has recalled almost 800,000 vehicles with a 6.2 liter V8 from, what was it, 2020 to 24?
Yeah,
Something like that. But
yeah,
Doc sent me a video from Dave's Auto Center. These guys, they give very good information and they're very on point. Well, they were taking one apart, and if I remember right, Doc said it only had like 6,000 miles on it.
yeah,
So 6,000 miles, and then you literally have a piston where the snap ring is sheared off completely. Okay, and then it had a broken rod. Bearings looked fine. So it's what's causing that problem. And it has what we call a girdle or a block stiffening plate on the 6.2s. So that would indicate what we were talking about. It would indicate, well, we got a line bore problem.
yeah.
So if that's the case, couldn't you put new caps on it and just reline board it?
You could, but it depends on where it's at. And I was just thinking when you said that, when they line bore these, okay, let's go away from this once again. We'll play the bad part of this. These are done by robots now. All it takes is a wrong program somewhere, a glitch. You know what I mean? And this
Yeah.
thing will take and do something. And how many blocks would this thing punch through before one of the uh, nose pickers or engineers caught on to the oops? But these engines would already be out in applications and running and sold. And so,
Hold on, I'm looking it up. Of course it's not gonna give me a number. Okay, so here's something new that we didn't know about the 6.2. It's got three different models for it. It's got a L87, an L92, and an L9H.
yeah.
And I want to say it's the L87 that's causing the problem. Oh no, entertain the people. I got another work call coming in.
Okay. I'm reading a little
Hold
bit
on.
on this recall, this GM recall, and they said that GM knew about this a long time before this recall ever got going. They're saying that this is a potential bankrupt type deal where, and as we know, they're going through a lot of problem with lawsuits and everything else, and the recall notice on connecting rod and crankshaft engine failure and engine components. Uh, the thing is once this does this, once you lose that wrist pin or once you lose that snap ring or the whatnot, it basically the engine's junk. It's going to go for a scrap. I mean, I don't know of a great lot of you could take off of that to put back on a different engine as you go into it. The the problem is that what they're going to do to fix it, I don't know. Yeah, you got to rebuild the engine. You got to get, well, not rebuild it. You got to get a new engine. And are the rods suspect? Is the crank suspect, as we said, or is it a block issue? Was it a line boring issue that the computers did a glitch on, or was it a manufacturing issue? These connecting rods were pressed out or knocked out with the wrong specifications. There should be no reason, and as we said on one podcast here earlier, um, I'd run snap ring pistons, floating pistons forever, and Cummins has them, and there's never been a snap ring coming apart on these things, and I know a lot of guys that race with these floating pistons that don't have the issue. There's something that is not floating through true for us here on this uh, situation. And until we get more information on the blocks and how this is uh, entailed, or how this is affecting these blocks and what they're looking at for the engines to do this, we're kind of scratching our head trying to figure them out. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about uh, a lot of issues that got to be filled in on these. I mean, besides people not having their vehicle to drive, and may not have it for 6, 8, 10, 12 months, or however long these engines are waiting on them. This is not good, especially when you look at what the price of a vehicle was that you bought, and etc. So I think we're all in the same boat when we look at the fact that uh, Ford and Chevy are all dealing with some similar issues, with Ford with their fuel systems, and of course Chevy with the connecting rod and engine issues and rod bearings. But it's interesting to see, will be interesting to see what all entails with this. Um, let's see, I'm reading a little bit of this on Reddit. It says a quality control issue uh, is continually persisting for them. One guy says he replaced 5 of the engines in the last year. Front main bearing failure. Then it says the issues on them are, and I'm reading some of the topics, from lifters to bearings. Let's go on. One says he had 2 failures out of his 2021, and the first came at 19,000 and the second with 61,000. Both engines seized while running. And we're just picking up a little bit on this. So it's interesting that it's all over the board what is failing on these. One, the engine stopped and dash display said to push the start button to restart. And he said it didn't restart. So, and we'll see. Complete internal failures. Talking, some of them are hydraulic locks, which a hydraulic lock is a liquid in the cylinder. The piston can't compress a liquid. It can compress air, though. It says fractured conrods are failing. So it's all over the board on what we got going on. Why I wish I could get to. And they said they're up to 877,000 of those GMs that have failed. So let's see what this one says. The same thing. They're talking about anything from crank to cam to lifters to pistons to rods to mains to. Then you add to that any issues with the CP4 on the diesels. Of course, that's the best thing. I know we're talking gas and diesel. So we're dealing with a lot of issues with these. So, hey, you made it back.
I did make it back. I had to be polite and explain how brakes work on a dump truck. So that's good.
Really?
Hey, if the office lady that does all the parts has questions or concerns, I'm more than willing to help. So
So they're
everybody needs help every once in a while, and it's fine.
yeah. We've been talking about everything that's failed on these L87s, and there's hits all over the board. This one guy, 6,000 miles, and the people I talked to here while you were gone, 6,000 miles of front main bearing.
Yeah, sounds like a line bore issue.
Another one said that the uh, lifters went out on it. So, like I said, it's all over the
Yeah, but
board.
that's all part of that auto stop function that they got going on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's all over the board on the failures on this thing.
Right.
But most of
Miles is only. I'm sorry. Go.
the engine things has been piston and the one guy's seized up. It just that was it. No more. No
Right.
more. No more broom broom.
No more vroom vroom.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking about we're over 870,000 of these things now. That's a lot of engines to come up with.
Right. Especially if it's all that L87.
Yeah. And I don't know how many of them things they have on the shelf, but you'd be a little suspect if they poke another one of them L87s back in you,
I
right?
wonder if they're doing like the L91s as a replacement.
I don't know. Let me see here.
Well, I only brought that back up just to talk about the update we saw with Dave's Auto Center. That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else really you want to talk about with the CP4 failure? Or is there basically not a whole lot to talk about?
No. I think we covered everything. And like we said, they don't know. They do know what the problem is, but they don't want to address it. Sounds like they want to blame it on COVID, because it didn't get vaccinated. And
Okay. I guess that's how we're calling. Whatever. Whatever. That's good. That's
well, I
fine.
mean, seriously.
But, that is what it is. Well, Ram said screw it and started doing CP3 conversions. How long until. Actually, that's a good reminder while I'm thinking about it. What is there is a kit from S&S Motorsports. Let me see what it entails. Whoa. It's called a disaster kit. Disaster prevention kit from S&S Diesel. Okay. Is it just gonna tell me? Okay. Gen 2.167 Power Stroke CP4 Disaster Kit. Oh, what do you know? What does it include? New and improved Gen 2.1 Disaster Prevention Kit safeguards fuel injectors, rail lines, and tank from CP4 debris. Oh, so guess what it is?
What it is?
When the CP4 grenades, it saves everything else. It's the whole point of the kit.
Fail stop thing.
Yeah.
Do they have a
So
picture of it?
yeah. So it thoroughly validates and proven to work in real life testing. All OE quick style connecting. Fuel supply split off 25 inches away from CP4 pump. Return filter isolate CP4 debris before it goes into the tank. Billet filter head accepts standard spin-on filters. Comes with Donaldson fill filters. Improved CP4 output past 3,000 RPM. Can extend the range of the truck during a CP4 failure. Carb compliant and made in the USA.
Huh.
S&S Diesel Motorsports, the creator of the original disaster prevention kit for the 6.7 Power Stroke, is at it again with a much improved second generation kit. Since its debut in 2016, the original S&S CP4 bypass kit has safeguarded thousands of injectors from CP4 debris. In fact, it works so well that it has been copied by multiple opportunists within the aftermarket. Being a company founded by fuel system engineers, SNS Diesel Motorsports has the ability and responsibility to offer the best solutions for fuel system problems, with the original bypass kit offering really good protection from CP4 failures. Basically, if your CP4 fails, it's going to protect everything else. That's the whole point of the kit. And it's like $400.
Yeah. And Amazon has them for 89 bucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that though. No way. Let's see. I'm curious. I'm super curious. CP3. Oh, SNS has got it. They have a 6.7 power stroke CP4 to CP3 conversion kit for
Really?
for $2,000. Yep, we knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And guess what? Guess what the first line of the description is
What's
for
that?
this kit? Upgrade your Ford 6.7 Power Stroke with the S&S Diesel CP4 to DCR fuel pump conversion kit. The CP4 has a well-earned reputation for failing without warning, creating sudden power loss, and taking out expensive high-pressure fuel system in the process. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be an ass and laugh, but if you got guys that are making conversion kits, can we just fix the freaking problem?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I said that. I meant what I said. It's just for the love, man. You're spending 100,000 for a truck.
And then you got to
54
put
to,
a new pump on it just to get it to, right?
and we went into this last time. You know, you're spending anywhere from 54 to $100,000 for a brand new truck, depending on what model and additions, all that other stuff you get. But and then you got to spend $400 to buy a disaster kit for a pump you know is gonna fail.
Well, get this one. This one says your CP4 failures are much less common in parts of the world where higher quality fuel is used. Canada and Japan.
Weird, weird
Isn't
how
it?
that works.
I don't know. I don't understand it.
So why can't we just, if we know we have a fuel issue, why can't we fix the fuel issue? And so to make the Ford guys' ego a little bit better, it's the same thing with the Cummins. We know we have a lifter problem. Why can't we just fix the freaking problem?
Yeah, and yeah, I kind of dogged a little bit on Ford's. This is not the Ford problem. It is the Ford problem, but I mean, like you said, the CP4 is across the board. Every manufacturer that's run it had an issue with the dang thing.
But
Let's fix.
is it a manufacturer problem or is it a Bosch problem?
Well, that's it. It's a Bosch problem. It's across the board with everybody. I mean, it ain't you're talking about, okay, is it a Chevy problem? Is it a Dodge problem? Is it a Ford problem? But they all have the pump failing. It's a Bosch problem. There's there's a lack of lubricity in the fuel, which is totally, we understand. We talked about that, and I can't remember the amount of time we talked about lack of lubricity. Yeah, kills these pumps in class. So you know, it doesn't matter if it's the ISX 15 or the X 15. They deal with the same idea with these types of pumps. It's lack of lubrication and fuel. I mean, if you're talking, you have to add these additives to your fuel tank to get these dang things to live, right? Something's rotten in Denmark.
It's just, and kind of a side note, knowing that we kind of back on my little rant here, buying a brand new truck and knowing that you have to buy aftermarket parts to save it, just and
Yeah.
then does it void the warranty? Most of the time it does. So
Well,
what the
yeah.
frick's the point of buying a brand new truck? I not I'm not trying to come off any mean way or anything, but I'm a mobile mechanic. Yeah, I got the Jeep, but if I were to buy a brand new truck, knowing it's got these issues and knowing I'm going to be stranded, it's just not worth the risk to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I was safe to film a podcast today, and yeah, I had to leave twice to answer phone calls, almost the third time because I had another phone call coming in. And we were having technical difficulties the other day, or if we would have filmed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's for me being an owner, I cannot take the chance.
Well, yeah.
And yeah, can I fix? Can I do a CP4 swap on a 6.7 Power Stroke? Absolutely. Can I do a cam? Can I do tap it upgrade on a 6.7 Cummins? Absolutely. But why would I want to spend that kind of money?
On something you just bought brand new.
Yeah, what? Because my problem is, and this is legitimately why I don't have a brand new truck. That and because they're expensive, and that's I don't want a house payment for a truck, but
No kidding.
my problem is if I were to buy a brand new truck, and this is exactly I talked to my wife about this, and she's like, buy something that's out of warranty. Because if I got to go through and do a cam, do do hydraulic, do a brand new set of lifters and all this other stuff, I'm going back to flat tap it. But while I'm in there, I'm going to be playing a dangerous game of, well, since I'm here, and next thing you know,
Yeah.
we're going to have studs, fire rings, and probably new pistons. And if I'm going to
Yeah.
do that, I might as well just go buy something that's older. Another third gen.
Yeah. True that.
I mean, because it's already going to void warranty at that point. So what's the point of the new truck?
This is true.
Yes, and obviously, like we said before, get involved in the comments. We really want to hear what you guys have to say about this stuff.
Oh,
And those
yeah.
who want to argue with me about, and please, by all means, argue with me. You know, we're trying to build something here. We can go back and forth, get to the point where we do live shows. But for the guys out there, or even the gals that sit there and say, well, you can just take the truck to the dealer and have them take care of it. Yes, I can. But it's going to sit there for 3 weeks, and
Or
I don't got
more.
time for that.
Or more.
Or more. And then we're going to play the parts available game.
And we really do feel for you Ford and Chevy guys, with these issues like that, because that just flat sucks. I mean, you didn't pay the kind of money you did for a Ford or a Chevy for the dang thing to be, parked out back in the dusty lot because you're waiting on parts or whatever. So yeah, it sucks all the way around the board.
And that's just kind of that was my little thought. And anything that, like, every time I look into a truck or think about a truck, it's always, and everybody's like this. It's got to be reliable. And I wanted a brand new truck because of that magical thing called warranty. Something goes wrong, it's their problem, not mine.
Yeah,
But at the same time, now it's to the point, knowing what we know, it's going to be my problem anyways.
yeah, it's not an if the problem with some of these, it's when.
Oh, when? Yeah.
And that's the scary part. So
So we're gonna cut it short today because I don't want to keep leaving you guys and leaving Doc by himself.
I did good.
I don't know if Doc can behave by himself.
I was good.
Just kidding. It's me that you got to worry about. And anybody in the comments can tell that when I start getting on my rants and everything, you can tell that Doc tries to rein it in a little bit. We are trying to keep this family friendly, and we are trying to stick to facts. But yeah, there's a lot of things we're going to throw our opinion in.
Yeah, no kidding. But that's the good thing about a podcast is that we're allowed to do that. And it ain't to hurt anyone's feelers.
And if it does hurt your feelers, let us know in the comments. We'll address
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, Doc's been in the industry a long ass time. I've been around the industry and in it for a long ass time.
Yeah.
And those who don't know, Doc is the one who gave me my Cummins certifications. I got it from him.
Yup. This is
Literally,
true.
on my certificate, it is signed with his name.
So,
And he still schools me every once in a while.
yeah, we keep
We
plugging.
do have merch. Doc does have his own specific shirt,
He
and we
just
are
doesn't
trying
put it on
to,
in the middle of the day.
yeah, doesn't put it on the middle of the day. But we'll figure this out, and just join us in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe to this. And this has been a good one.
Yeah, it was okay. And like I said, we do feel for you people that are out there with these issues on these vehicles. We really do. We don't like that an industry that we've worked in for so long is got issues. That should never have happened. It does happen, but it should never to the extent that it is.
Right. So, but this has been another adventure with the automotive Ewok and Doc, or Doc and the automotive Ewok. We appreciate you guys for for watching this. Please like, comment, subscribe to this, and share it. And if there's anything you guys want us to address or talk about, let us know.
Absolutely.
And then
We'll
whatever style of
research it.
content you guys like, let us know. If you like the more the free throwing, kind of more raw, or if you like the more strategic scheduled stuff, we're willing to do whatever.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add to it, Doc?
Nope. I believe we covered everything that we can.
Well, appreciate you guys. Thank you again.
Bye.